You are listening to the Lawyer Stories podcast with host Benny Gold. Lawyer Stories was founded in July 2017 on Instagram and is an expanding global network of lawyers and law students sharing their personal journeys to the noble profession of the practice of law. Join us on this podcast as we dig deeper into these stories and hear from lawyers and law students from around the world in all areas of the legal profession. Here at Lawyer Stories, we believe that every lawyer has a story. What's yours?
Welcome to the Lawyer Stories podcast with Benny Gold. Today I'm honored to welcome Brian R. Sullivan, managing partner for workers' compensation at Keches Law Group. Brian has spent decades advocating for injured workers, handling all aspects of workers' compensation, Social Security, disability, and accidental disability retirement claims. He's appeared at every level of Department of Industrial Accidents and is a respected speaker in the field. Brian, welcome into the show.
Thanks for having me, Ben.
Hey, good to see you. And
good to see you.
Yeah, before I get into my questions, I just want to say Keches Law, definitely one of the pillars of Massachusetts law firms. We see it everywhere. You guys are doing a great job, Boston and beyond.
Thank you.
So, congratulations with Keches and all your success. And you're a partner now, so that's amazing.
Thank you. I'd like to take some credit for it, but I can't. We have a great team at our office that's in charge of that stuff, and I'm involved in none of it. And it's successful without me. But we have a great team there that takes care of all that stuff. So thank you for saying that.
All right. Well, you're welcome. Well, we'll see about that. So we appreciate you being here, and tell us about your lawyer story. So today we'd like to go through why you became a lawyer and what you're doing now. So where does your story begin? What inspired you to pursue law?
You want the real reason?
Yes.
I can't do math. My career path was pretty limited with my limited understanding of math. So when I was in college, I went to Suffolk University in Boston. When I was there, I worked at the Department of Industrial Accidents. I worked in something called the Workers' Comp Trust Fund. And when I was there, I got to meet a bunch of great people.
Okay.
I was exposed to workers' compensation law. I worked there for a couple of years and, got to meet everyone, saw what they did, thought it was very interesting, thought it was great people that did it. And I just sort of, followed that trajectory going forward. I went to Suffolk Law School and continued working at the trust fund when I was there and, have sort of been in workers' comp ever since I was in college.
What is that? What's the Department of Industrial Accidents?
So Department of Industrial Accidents is the court where workers' compensation claims are heard.
Really?
There's 5 of them.
Okay.
There's one in Boston, Fall River, Worcester, Lawrence, and Springfield. So it's where you live geographically is where your case is heard.
So you kind of entered that area of law by default since you were sort of already working there. Did you ever think of doing criminal law or immigration or any other type of law?
I really didn't. I didn't know that many lawyers growing up, and all of them that I knew were doing workers' comp through, I met them through working there. But I don't think I could do criminal law.
Right.
I don't think I could defend some criminals with some things they're accused of.
Sure.
And workers' comp is just something that I've been familiar with, and I really enjoyed it and just stuck with it.
And your employer side, right? So employee side. So you're representing employees.
Strictly.
So tell me who you're representing. I know we're representing employees, but how would you define that, an employee who's been harmed by some sort of...
So at our firm, we have a group that does workers' comp, personal injury, and medical malpractice.
Okay.
And we sort of break it up by practice area, and we don't go into each other's practice areas.
Right.
So I strictly do workers' comp. I used to do Social Security, disability, but I don't anymore. Other lawyers in my office do.
Okay.
I'm more focused on the workers' comp and running the firm with my partner, Sean Flaherty. It's very interesting area for sure.
Totally.
You're dealing with people when they're pretty much at their lowest point in their life.
Right.
Right? I mean, they're used to working, they're used to supporting their family, then they get hurt, and they think they're going to be put on workers' comp.
Right.
Little do they know, 99.9% of the times their claim's going to be denied, valid or not.
Right.
All these claims get denied. Unfortunately, these insurance companies make it very, very hard on people to collect workers' comp.
Right.
And it takes a little while to get in front of a judge. And, a lot of people can't wait that amount of time, and the insurance companies know that, and they exploit it. And it's unfortunate because these people can't get the medical treatment they need, and they're oftentimes going back to work hurt. So it's
is it an initial denial and then they come to you? How does that? What's the procedure like with
both?
that? Okay.
Really.
All right.
So we do a lot of work with unions, and we
Okay.
have a lot of relationships with unions. We've been dealing with unions since George Keches started the firm in 1986.
Wow.
Yeah, he started the firm in 1986. He was doing a lot of work with millwrights and iron workers,
Okay.
and he got a lot of cases that way. And then a couple of years later, Brian Clardy, who's really been my mentor since I've been at the firm, he's been doing the Teamsters work for 30, 35 years.
All right.
And he sort of took me under his wing when I started almost 20 years ago. And we will get calls from people when they're being paid and they're not being paid. So some of them will just want advice when they're being paid, and we'll talk to those folks. And then if somebody's claim's denied, we'll represent them. Or if they're being paid and an insurance company is trying to shut their benefits off, we'll then represent them at that level as well.
Wow.
So really
Okay.
all stages of the workers' comp process, whether they're being paid or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So going back to like Suffolk Law, you went to undergrad. Like, how did you know? Like, you were like, I know you said you're bad at math. I think a lot of us experience that. I don't like math. At UMass, I think I skipped like whatever class it was that I had to take for statistics and like did something else. But
Crazy thing is I have a cousin who's a math whiz.
could have brought them in.
Yeah.
But so how did you know to go to like Suffolk Law, and like what was your experience like in law school?
So I have a very disappointing law school story. When I was in law school, the guy who ran the workers' comp trust fund,
Okay.
I would go to him with a lot of questions, and he actually wrote my recommendation for law school. And I was going to go to the University of Miami for law school.
Nice.
And he told me, if you want to work in Boston, you have to go to a Boston law school.
Right.
Complete bullshit.
Right.
You don't.
Yeah.
But I didn't know any better.
Okay.
And he directed me to Suffolk, and I had a great experience, and everything's worked out well. So I got good advice for him, but that's how I ended up there. I was on my way to Miami until
Hey, you know,
the guy
it's
that wrote my recommendation taught
it's-
me otherwise.
It's never too late to go to Miami. You know, we have Lawyer Stories has a fun event down there. You know,
That's
if you
right.
want- No, but that's interesting. Hey, well, you know, it worked out, I guess, for the best there.
It did.
So
I probably would have failed out if I went to law school in Miami. So I probably made the
Yeah.
right choice.
that's you never know. But I think
Oh,
you
no,
would
I know.
I think you would have done just fine. So so how did the experience, like when you worked at the Department of Industrial Accidents, like influence your perspective on wanting to represent injured workers?
So the workers' comp trust fund basically is there for a couple of different things. It's to serve as an insurance company when people get hurt working for employers who are uninsured. And they also reimburse insurers who hire people who then get hurt, who were hurt, hire them, they get hurt again, and then they settle that case. You're able to get reimbursed a portion of that from the state. So I was exposed to that, but that was all on the defense side.
Yep.
So I did that for 2 years or so, year and a half, 2 years when I got out of law school. And then I went to work for one of the big defense firms in Boston.
Oh, okay.
And I worked there for about, 2 years or so. And I realized that wasn't what I wanted to do. I realized that, or I shouldn't say I realized, I saw that people who deserved benefits were not getting them. And
Right.
I was one of the people arguing against it.
Okay.
And, these people couldn't afford food, couldn't afford electricity bills,
Right.
couldn't afford, anything they need just to survive on a daily basis. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't keep doing it. So I had a lot of cases with the people from Keches Law Group because they were one of the biggest
Right.
player, I should say, back
Yep.
then. And, had cases with them, started talking to them, and I went over there almost 20 years ago, and I've been there ever since.
Wow, so you got experience from both sides.
I do.
Do you think that that's important for a lawyer? I mean, you hear that some people do prosecution, then defense, or then defense, and then prosecution. Do you think that that's like something that's important?
I do. I think it helps. I think you
helps,
get
yeah.
to see it from both sides. And some of the things that people get upset in my office about that other defense attorneys do, I don't get upset about that because I know they're probably not the ones making that decision, that it's a
Interesting.
claims adjuster or an insurance company really telling them what to do. So I don't really get upset when they do certain things because I know they're just doing their job. But you get a good perspective on how to handle it from both ways. So I found it
Yeah.
very helpful.
So as a lawyer, like being in like that plaintiff side of things, do you think there's more freedom than like working for like an insurance company and having to like, bill a certain way? Like, how does that?
I think it's very different.
Okay.
So with an insurance company, you're going to get paid whether you win or lose. You're
Right.
doing billable hours,
Right.
and you submit your bill at the end of the month, and you get paid. When you represent injured workers, you don't get paid unless you win.
Right.
So
That's right.
you can almost go through the motions as a defense attorney.
Sure.
When you're representing people who are depending on you to put food on their table, to keep their lights on, to be able to pay their rent, it's a different type of responsibility.
Right.
And one you have to take a lot more serious. So we probably prepare a lot more and fight a lot more, and it's more personal to us because we're representing individuals who you get to know, as opposed to a big insurance company who's going to function regardless of whether you win or lose.
And I think that's super interesting. Do you find like the personalities are difference between, and I'm not trying to call anybody out like defense attorney, litigation attorneys, but like, do you find like, you know, you really have to be sort of an entrepreneurial spirit, even though you're like within a law firm, being a plaintiff side, like you still want to be able to, you know, get the best results possible for your client.
You do, and you almost have to be a therapist and a lawyer at the same time. Right. Like I always tell my clients, if you want to yell at somebody because you're frustrated about what's going on, call up and yell at me. You know, I don't want you to yell at your wife, your kids, or whatever it may be. Call and yell up at me. Vent to me, and that's fine. I'll do that all day for you. Because I know what they're going through, right? I know how, I shouldn't say I know because I'm not in their position, but I appreciate what they're going through and how stressful it is and what they're dealing with at home and not being able to pay their bills and everything like that. So it's a much more, you much more have a larger responsibility when you're representing injured workers as you are when you're representing insurance companies.
So I'm still kind of stuck on like the defense side of things. Like why
would someone do it for a job?
Why?
I wonder that myself.
Well, I mean, like, look, I think, like we said, you had to be like kind of an entrepreneurial spirit, or like, you like, I think the sky's the limits with maybe fee earning. You also get to, you know, not put a value on somebody's life and sort of like help people that are hurting, and bring those claims.
I'll give you a good analogy,
please.
And this is from somebody who worked at my firm, who then went to work for a defense firm, and who's now a judge. So he's seen it all.
And here's the caveat. Like, don't get me wrong. I have good friends who do it. I'm just curious, like talking to like a plaintiff side, like person who's been in both. Like, what's the mindset?
Yeah.
You know, that's.
I think this is a good analogy, and it sort of sums it up. He said, when you're representing injured workers and you walk into your office in the morning, it's almost like you're turning on a heavy metal station. It's just stuff's coming at you from every direction. It's very loud. There's a lot of personality there. And when you're representing insurance companies, it's almost like you're turning on a classical rock station. You can go through the motions, just do what you need to do, and you turn it off at the end of the day and you go home. We never turn it off.
So in that regard, like what kind of personality and like what characteristics does it take for somebody at Keches Law or like other firms to be able to represent those people in some of their worst times with like employment, their livelihood?
So you need to be aggressive and compassionate.
Okay.
We like to hire people who are former athletes, right? Who have been in a win or lose situation, and they're part of a team, but they have to fight to win, right?
Right.
And so we always like to hire people that were, you know, played sports when they were younger, and we find that those people are the ones that work out the best.
That's
for
awesome.
us. So that's one of the things we always ask in an interview.
So what advice can you give to somebody they're learning on the defense side, which is a great job. Obviously, like insurance company needs somebody to defend them, and is thinking about making the move over to like...
You send your resume to Keches Law Group. Attention, Brian Sullivan.
There you go.
We'll talk to you.
There you go.
What I'll say to them is it's completely different.
Yep.
You don't shut it off.
Right.
I get calls and text messages, whether it's from clients or people at the union that we deal with, because these people work 24/7, depending on what kind of industry they're in. Someone can get hurt at midnight, someone can get hurt at 4 a.m. or noon, right?
Right.
So we always have to be there, ready to answer these questions. You don't go on vacation and shut your phone off. You don't put an out of the office message on your email.
Okay.
So you always have to be there. I think that's the big difference, is you're always on, as opposed to a defense attorney. It's 8 to 4, 9 to 5, whatever it is. They shut it down, they're done. So we're never done.
So you could definitely hear like the passion in your voice and the way you present. Like what really like keeps you going, like inspires you, besides like maybe, and look, people out there might be like, yeah, the big settlements, like the judge, but like what keeps you going?
So that's a big misconception.
Right.
There's no real big settlements in workers' comp. Workers' comp is a very limited system.
Okay.
Okay? It's all based off what a person earned before they got hurt You really calculate it by the 52 weeks prior to them getting injured. And then you have a limited benefit structure. There's no pain and suffering in workers' comp. There's no jury verdicts. There's no punitive damages. So you're very limited in what you can get in a workers' comp claim. And it drives me crazy when someone says, this guy just wanted the summer off. This guy just didn't want to work the winter. It's complete bullshit.
Is Dr. Summer off a thing?
No, it's not.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you why.
I mean, have you ever heard of it?
Yes.
Okay.
And it drives me insane because it's not true at all.
Okay.
If someone was to file a claim today, you're probably not going to see a judge for about 8 months.
Right.
So who is going to risk their job, if it's your career and you're really invested in that job, to maybe get workers' comp benefits in 8 months? You have no money for 8 months.
Right.
You're maybe going to get it 8 months later. So you're going to take the summer off and not get paid? It just doesn't make sense, you know?
Yeah. No,
But it's one of the big
Sorry.
misconceptions that I'm going to file a claim, I'm going to get paid, and I'm going to just stay out for the next few months,
Right.
and then I'll go back to work.
Right.
No.
So what are the above and beyond damages that are possible?
There aren't any.
Really?
No.
So, okay.
You're limited to weekly benefits,
Okay.
medical benefits, and then you can get a one-time payment for scarring.
Okay.
Maximum amount is $15,000,
Okay.
only on your hands, face, and neck.
Okay.
So you can be scarred all over your body, but if it's not on your hands, face, and neck, you're not going to get a penny.
Interesting. Okay.
And,
Thank you
and then
for
there's a
clarifying
one-time
that.
impairment rating that you get paid, which is usually a few $1,000s.
Okay.
But other than that, that's
So it's
it.
not like the 30, I'm thinking like PI lawyer, obviously it's very different, but PI lawyers get
Very
like
different.
30, 40% of
So
like the...
it's funny.
Well, I just want to draw the
Sure.
I want to draw the distinction. For
Yeah,
the
we have
listeners.
a PI department in our office.
Sure.
And we have a medical malpractice department. And in our office, we have some of the best PI lawyers in the state. We just got a huge verdict on a case that Andy Abraham tried, $90 million.
Wow.
You can get that kind of money in the personal injury world.
Right.
You cannot get it in the workers' comp world.
Right.
So it's you're very limited in what you can get in. It's not a great system at all.
Yeah.
It's really not. And most people end up worse off going through the workers' comp system at the end of the day than most people believe.
So you've been practicing for over 2 decades, and like, how has the system changed? Like the workers' compensation, how has it evolved?
So it really hasn't, believe it or
Okay.
not. The laws haven't changed since 1991.
Okay.
So we've been dealing with the same statute since 1991. So what's that, 40 years, 35 years, something like that?
Yep.
We have a state rep in our office, Chris Hendricks, who's trying to get some legislation enacted right now to change some of the laws, but the laws really haven't changed much in the last almost 40 years. So you get higher average weekly wages, for the people that get hurt, that make a higher amount of money, but that's really the only thing that changes every year. So now I think insurance companies are fighting claims more, but that's probably really the only thing. I think it's been pretty consistent for the whole time that I've been on the employee
What
side.
about the unions? Have they changed? Like, have they been going for different things? Are they more aggressive? Do you see like more involvement, less involvement, anything?
I think different unions offer
Okay.
different representation.
fair. Yep.
So one of the unions I can speak to is the Teamsters.
Sure.
That's one of our biggest clients. I said earlier, Brian Clardy has been my mentor ever since I've been doing this. He has been representing the Teamsters for about 35 years.
Okay.
He's been doing that. It's amazing what that guy has done, and how many different people he's represented.
Yeah, yep.
And one of the things he's always taught me is you never say a bad thing about your client. Try to put yourself in their shoes,
Right.
right? And try to picture yourself living like them. And you have to fight like hell to try to make sure that these people get benefits so they can pay their bills. And that's sort of the same mentality that the unions we deal with have, especially the Teamsters, which is really one of the big clients that we deal with. Those guys fight for their members like no tomorrow.
Really?
Like no tomorrow. And they hold me accountable. They don't want to get calls from their members complaining about us.
Right.
And so we have to deal with the client, we have to deal with the union, and it's a great relationship because we fight for the clients. They call them members, we call them clients.
Yep.
They fight for their members, and we have to try to fight just as hard, if not harder, for the clients than they do, because they expect a lot from us, and they put a lot of trust in us, letting us represent their members, because they have to keep getting elected. And if they
Right.
refer their members to people who aren't doing a good job for them, that could impact them the next time they're trying to get elected. So thankfully, they've trusted us, and we've worked with them for almost the last 40 years or so, and hopefully we continue doing that for the future and continue doing a good job for them. You know, it's a lot of work. It's a lot more than just representing them. We go to a lot of union meetings. We talk to the members.
Sure. Yeah.
We take out different organizations within the union, whether it's an oil division or UPS or the municipalities that they represent. So it's more than just doing the legal work. It's getting to know these guys on a personal level, gaining their trust, so they let you represent them going forward.
Very important. What do you see like as a lot of like union violations? Like, what's the most thing that you see that you have to kind of advocate against?
We don't really deal with the union violations.
Okay.
The unions handle that.
Sure. All right.
But what we're finding out, so one of the big employers we deal with is UPS.
Okay.
Okay. And one of the things UPS does
interesting. Okay.
is when their members get hurt, they'll refuse to let them file injury reports.
Really?
Right? It's unbelievable.
That's crazy.
These guys will try to go and report their injury. They'll say, "Oh, I'll get to you later," or "I don't have an injury report." It is so bad that 5 or 6 years ago, that the union came to us and said, we need to create our own injury report. So we worked with the Teamsters to create their own injury report so that if management won't give them an injury report, they can go to their shop steward, get the injury report from them, and use that to file it. So I'd say that's one of the big hurdles we have is the employers trying to dissuade the injured workers from filing workers' comp.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's a big battle. It really is. And now with PFMLA, a lot of them are saying, go get PFMLA. Don't file workers' comp. You're going to get PFMLA quicker.
Explain PFMLA.
It's a government-funded benefit that people get when they go out of work.
Right.
And it's limited. You can only get it for a certain amount of time.
Right.
But the problem with it is if people go that route, so let's, for example, say someone has a back injury today, right?
Okay.
And the union says, not the union, the employer says, don't go workers' comp, go PFMLA. You're going to get paid quicker. And that person does that, and great. They get paid. They go back to work. A couple years later, they injure their back.
Right.
Now they can never go back to work again. UPS or wherever it is isn't going to say, oh, we're going to take care of you. They're going to say, no, that's a pre-existing injury. He injured this 5 years ago and never pursued it through workers' comp. So now we have to try to fight, is this a work injury or is it a pre-existing condition? And then when you have a pre-existing condition, it's a completely different standard.
Sure.
So these people think they're doing the right thing or they're getting the money quicker, but it really impacts them down the road when they have to go back out again.
Wow.
I would recommend everybody to, file an injury report with workers' comp when you get hurt. It might take you a little longer to get paid, but it's going to be so much more beneficial to you down the road. You need to protect yourself.
So give us like a scenario where somebody would come to you to Keches Law and be like, hey, Brian, I need your help. Like what would happen? Give us like an injury or something, or they're out and they fill out the claim and they come to you. Tell me what happens.
So since we're on the UPS train, I'll continue with that one.
Sure.
So I get a call from the union. I need you to call this guy. I call him. He's in the back of a package car, parked on the side of the road, legally parked, doing exactly what he's supposed to do. He gets hit by a car. Now, he's in the back of the package car, retrieving the packages to go deliver the packages.
He personally gets hit by the car.
The person hits the parked... No, they hit the truck.
Hit the truck. Okay.
So the person hits the parked UPS truck.
Got it.
What do you think UPS did?
They said, don't file a report.
Denied the claim.
You're fine. Yeah.
Denied the claim.
Wow.
And when they deny it, they don't give any reasons. They just check a bunch of boxes on the form.
What claim was made? Like that they hit the truck?
This was before you could even file it. They should have put him on workers' comp.
Okay.
Because he was injured when the car hit the back of the truck.
Right. Okay.
And so they should have paid him. They should have paid him workers' comp.
Right.
But they didn't. They denied the claim. And when they deny it, they're supposed to investigate the claim before they deny it, right? But they don't. They just check a bunch of boxes on the denial form and deny the claim. How do you deny a claim when the guy's in the back of a goddamn truck and he gets hit? When the truck's parked.
Right.
But that's how bad the insurance companies are.
So did he have injuries?
He did.
Okay.
He was out of work for about a year and a half.
So then he comes to you.
Comes to us. Well, the union says call this guy. They just denied his claim.
They say call you.
So I call him. We get all his information. We get get his medical records from him, and we file a claim. We go in front of a judge, and I stand in front of a judge and say, Judge, I don't even know how to argue this one. He was in the back of a truck and got hit.
Yeah.
I shouldn't even have to be here, but I am. And this poor guy had to wait 7, 8, 9 months to get paid.
Wow.
And, the judges at the Industrial Accident Board, they understand it.
Yep.
A lot of them are former lawyers that did workers. Most of them are former lawyers that did workers' comp. And so they know it from both sides.
Okay.
And I think they get pretty frustrated when they see those situations.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunate for the injured worker who has to wait 7 to 10 months to get money they should have gotten from day one.
Wow. Yeah, that's
it's terrible.
That is awful. And there's a lot of companies out there
So
that do that. And
they all do. The majority of them do.
Yeah.
They try to make
sweep things under the rug.
Well, they try to make it as hard as possible on
Right.
the injured worker, right? They want to try to starve them out so they go back to work.
Confuse them maybe too, right?
Confuse them, or
right.
for when they go back to work and they're talking to their coworkers, they say,
Right.
you don't want to go through comp. It just took me 8 months to get paid. But they have to, because they have to protect themselves for the future.
Sure.
God forbid they get hurt again and they can never go back to work.
Sure.
So we'll get calls like that. We'll get calls for people that just need medical bills paid. We'll get calls from people who are on comp and the insurance company's trying to shut their benefits off. And, we get a lot of calls from a lot of different people about a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So, and the reason for that is, the union will tell them, if you have a question, call them. It doesn't cost an injured worker a penny to talk to us or to represent them.
Right.
So if we have to represent someone in a workers' comp case, we get paid by the insurance company.
Okay.
So it never costs an injured worker a penny to have us help them. So, we always tell people, any questions you have, call. I'd rather have you call me and I can answer your question than you not call and then we have to try to fix something down the road.
Sure. Yeah, it totally makes sense. So, like, what would you say sets Keches Law Group apart in how it approaches cases rather than some other firm?
Sure. We have the good fortune of having a lot of work. So a lot of firms don't have that. So we don't have to settle cases. We don't have to do anything for financial reasons. Other firms don't have that luxury. So if we're not getting the absolute top dollar on a case, we reject it. And thankfully we have the resources that we can do that. A lot of firms don't, and people will call us and say, I settled my case for this amount, or my lawyer's recommending I settle my case for this amount. Now, that's usually from a lawyer that doesn't normally do workers' comp.
Okay.
The workers' comp bar is pretty small, and the people who are regular practitioners are very good at their jobs. They do that every day.
Okay.
So you don't really get those calls from people who are represented by normal practitioners that strictly do workers' comp.
Okay.
It's usually, some guy, oh, sure, I can handle your comp case, and they screw it up. It happens all the time.
Who doesn't do workers' comp? Yeah.
They just look at it as an easy pay, an easy paycheck, and they routinely screw it up.
And then they call you.
And sometimes we can fix it, but if they've settled their case, we can't.
Wow, that's something that's always been interesting. And on my podcast, I've had a couple PI lawyers who say your client only gets one shot. They get one shot. Go to the best, whether it's workers' comp, whether it's PI. Like, once you make that settlement, you're not going back. Right.
And thankfully, like I was saying, we have the resources that we don't have. We don't have to settle cases.
Right. Sure.
We can push the envelope, and we do.
For sure. So you're a managing partner for the workers' comp section. What is your day-to-day looking like now? Do you balance leadership, maybe mentoring with advocating for clients? What's it like now for you at the firm?
So it really depends on the day. And I know that's a generic answer, but it's very true.
Yeah.
So a lot of my days are spent doing things other than handling cases. We have about 22, 23 lawyers that just do workers' comp now. So that's 23 personalities I have to deal with, 23 sets of issues I have to deal with. And thankfully, we have a great team right now.
Yep.
In my opinion, this is the best group of lawyers we've ever had in the 20 or so years that I've been there. Yeah. We have a great group. We have from brand new lawyers to people who've been doing it for 40 years. And everybody is rowing in the same direction. Everybody helps each other. We meet every other week as a group, as a department in the workers' comp department to go over cases, issues, questions, things like that, but we are talking every day. People in my office are in each other's office every day.
Oh, that's great.
Running issues by each other, running questions by each other. There's no egos in our office. I have an open door policy. Everybody in my office does. If you're a first year law clerk, walk right in.
Yep.
There's no issues with that. We encourage it. And if somebody's not doing that, we almost question what they're doing. Why aren't you doing this?
Really? If
you should be coming for help.
Okay.
You want
to review that.
But a lot of my day is spent doing things other than handling cases, which, I have to do. It's my job.
Yeah, well, that's it.
Right? And I have a great team. I have a great legal assistant. She's amazing. I could not do what I do without her.
That's awesome. Shout out to her.
Yes, shout out to her, Emily Mazza. She's the best.
Shout out, Emily.
And and my wife says it every day. She thanks every day for Emily Mazza for putting up with me, but
That's
also
great.
keeping me under, focused and things like that. So
awesome.
I definitely could not do with Emily. I have another great assistant now, Kara McDonough, who actually was my neighbor not too long ago.
Okay.
And then we have law clerks and we have associates. So we all do work as a team. It's a great thing. And my partner, Sean Flaherty, we're both on the same page on pretty much everything. So, thankfully, there's no egos in our office right now. And everybody's just trying to do the best job they can and make the firm the best they can.
That's great. I mean, it definitely sounds like a nice place to work. So how do you select like a law clerk or like somebody who's a student coming up, like a rising 3L?
Sure.
And what's your process at Keches?
So it varies.
Okay.
We get recommendations
Okay.
from other lawyers, families, friends. Come talk to this person. I think this person would be good for you. But a couple of years ago, we started a summer associate program.
Oh, nice.
And we hire about 15 or so law clerks over the summer.
Wow.
And they get matched up with one of the lawyers in the firm, and they work with that lawyer all summer. And at the end of the summer, we do a review process. And who do you want to bring back? Who do you not want to bring back? And it's been a very successful program.
Wow.
We've actually had several of the summer associates that have, continued with us to become lawyers with us.
It's amazing. Do they get to visit each part? Like, do they get to do like PI and then workers' comp?
No. So if you're hired for the workers' comp department, you just do workers' comp. If you're hired for PI, you do PI, med mal, same thing.
And is it grade based? Is that, or you interview people to come in? Or
So the summer associate program is for kids in their second year of law that just finished their second year of law school.
Okay.
But we also, we'll hire kids in their first year, or some of them are thinking about going to law school and they want some experience. So,
wow.
We get people from a lot of different areas. But the summer associate program is mainly where we get them.
So, like, back to the practice a little bit. Like, what would you say some of the most common misconceptions are that your clients have about a workers' comp claim when they
Dr.
come
Summeroff.
to you? What's that?
Dr. Summeroff.
So they come to you and they're like, I want the summer
I think
off?
that's the public. The big misconception is that it's an easy system and people are going to get paid and people fake injuries and they just want to go out on comp. No one wants to go out on workers' comp.
Yeah.
If somebody has a career and they are working and they're making good money and they're getting their health insurance and their pension and everything else, the last thing that person wants to do is go out on workers' comp.
Okay.
And everyone thinks, oh, they just want the summer off. They just want this. Or, this just happened to me the other day. Guy, UPS again. Guy's at UPS 36 years, package car driver.
Wow.
Never had an injury in his life. Gets injured. Legitimate injury. Torn rotator cuff in his shoulder. He's a piece of shit. He was planning it. He just wants to supplement his pay.
Oh, gosh.
Really? So a guy that's been there for 36 years, that's never been hurt once, all of a sudden
wants
is
to
going to
take the
make up
summer
this
off.
injury
Yeah.
at the end of his career. So I'd say that's the biggest misconception is that people,
Dr. Summeroff,
fake
yeah.
these claims. They maybe the people with the fake claims go to other firms, but we very rarely get people that are bringing, fraudulent claims or claims we don't believe in.
So, like, you've served on CLE faculties and frequently a speaker. What topics would you say people are most interesting to know now about workers' comp?
So it varies, right, depending on your audience.
Yep.
If you're talking to a CLE, it's you're really giving them the basics of workers' comp, almost speaking to a lawyer who's going to be practicing that.
Okay.
If I'm going to a union, which we do all the time, we'll go to stewards meetings or union meetings and talk to the whole membership or just the stewards to educate them because they're the ones helping the membership. Talk about reporting injuries. That's one of the big things we harp on. Report the injury, report the injury, report the injury.
Yep.
Because even if you're not going to go out, you need that on file. And the best example I give is we had a guy, UPS guy, cuts his hand, okay? Reports it. Isn't going to miss any time from work, but he was a great union guy, very involved in the union, goes to all our presentations, and he knew to report it, whether he's going to miss time or not, right? And thankfully he did. He almost died from the cut that he got on his hand because there was some bacteria in the package that got delivered, And they said that this only originates in either Central America or South America. I don't remember which one.
Crazy.
So thankfully he reported it. And because we work so close with the unions, and the Teamsters Union is very involved in their members' claims, they were able to help us go get this guy's manifest from that day. And lo and behold, there's a delivery from either Central America or South America.
Wow.
So we're able to connect those dots. But I always tell people that's how important it is to report an injury. You never know what's going to come from it down the road. So one of the things that, Brian Clardy has beat into my head, whenever you're talking to anyone, you have to report injuries. You have to report injuries because you never know what's going to come out to be.
Right.
So I'd say that's the thing we always try to hammer home to people.
Reporting and documentation.
Correct.
Is a lot. I tell my staff that you got to document.
And I always say to put it in writing. Right? Don't just tell a manager or a supervisor. Don't trust the manager that they're going to turn it in. Send an email.
Right.
Or send a text message, something that you can go back to and say, here's the day I reported it. Here's what I said. Don't let a manager or supervisor file the injury report because they lie.
Yep.
Or they won't file it. So you file it.
Right.
And when you do file it, you either send it in by email or text message. So there's a record of it.
So in terms of emerging issues or trends shaping the future of workers' comp, like was there anything that came out of COVID that was different? I know that sounds kind of weird,
claims.
but COVID claims, okay.
We got a lot of COVID claims, people that contracted COVID when they were at work, and they're hard cases to prove, because how do you prove where the person contracted the COVID, right? So for us, you got to look to what do they do for work?
Right.
What did they do when they were in the public? What safeguards were put in place? And, those are hard cases to piece together, but, we represented a lot of people that had developed COVID at work, and they were absolutely work-related.
Really?
And 100%. When you're delivering packages all day, you're opening doors. You're coming across people in the street. You're touching packages that 5-10 people may have touched before you.
So they had claims for that.
A lot of claims.
So how do you prevent that, though? Like, not to play devil's advocate, but if that's their job, I mean, like, to go out
You don't prevent it, but they should be compensated for it when they're injured doing it.
Okay.
Right? I mean, it's nothing you can prevent.
Could they have wore, like, a mask or done something that, like...
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
I don't mean to, it seems like...
but it's one of the things that... Look, I'm of course on the employee side.
Sure, yes.
But these people that were out, most people were at home during COVID, right?
Yes.
You know who wasn't? UPS drivers.
Right.
EMS people.
Right.
People delivering food from Stop and Shop or stocking the shelves at Stop and Shop. So while everyone else was at home, in the confines of their comfortable home, these people were out in the heart of COVID.
So you get into a situation where it's like a hazardous environment. Like,
absolutely.
So they should get some sort of hazardous compensation for being out there doing their job because of the state of where the country was in terms of stay home, wear a mask, don't leave.
They should have got hazard pay, but they didn't because workers' comp doesn't allow for it. But when someone's out doing their job in a dangerous situation, a life-threatening situation, and they develop the condition that everybody is trying to not get, they should be paid for it when they can't go to work. There's some people that their careers were ended because of COVID and are still suffering from the consequences of COVID. And they were hard cases to prove, but they were compensable. And those people should have been paid, and a lot of them were.
They were. A lot of them were. Okay. And so that wasn't something that say UPS could get together and figure out before.
UPS is never concerned about how to compensate their people.
Okay.
I can tell you that.
Fair enough. As a member of the Mass Academy of Trial Lawyers, trial attorneys, how important is community and professional collaboration with you?
So aside from the organizations that we're in at our firm, we are huge in giving back to our communities.
That's awesome.
When Sean Flaherty took over the firm from George, he created something called Keches Cares.
Okay.
Which is really our charitable arm.
Okay.
Where we give out a lot of donations. We give money. Yep. We help people in a lot of different ways.
Okay.
And we give back a lot. One of the big things that we're a part of is the Teamsters Autism Fund. We're one of the big sponsors for that. And we sponsor boxing event. There's a ton of things that we do charitably.
Yep.
And it's really important to us. It's important to me. It's important to Sean. It's important to our firm. And it's a big part of our firm. For Thanksgiving, we shut our office down on the Friday before Thanksgiving, and we delivered I think 400 Thanksgiving meals to families in need in Quincy and the Taunton area.
Nice.
We do the same thing around Christmas with giving gifts, and we're making donations all the time to different charitable events. But when Sean took over, that was one of the big things: is how can we give back? And we created this thing called Keches Cares.
That's great.
We do another thing with the Patriots called, I think it's called Keches or something like that. I'm not sure the exact name.
That's amazing.
But for every touchdown, we make a contribution.
Really?
With the Patriots for every touchdown or every reception. So a big part of our firm is giving back.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Go Pats.
Yep. Go Pats.
Big year.
Yeah, we're the official sponsor of the Patriots.
Really?
The Bruins, the Free Jacks, and Boston College Athletics.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So when you see the other ads with those people, they're just advertising. They're not the official sponsor.
Official sponsor right
That's
here.
right.
With the Patriots Keches. I mean, I'll say that because I'm a big Pats fan.
Yeah.
So, is there a particular case over the years that stands out to you? I know you've helped thousands of families and workers, and is there one like that you want to highlight that that stands out to you? If not, that's okay. I don't need to.
There is,
Yep.
and it's a very sad situation.
Okay.
So this has to be probably 10 years ago now, 8 years ago now. Guys I won't tell you the location, but he's at a location and his job was to move the trailers around in the yard. Okay. Rainy night, windy night, and there's a green light. When the green light's on, you're cleared to pull off from the bay, right? Your truck's loaded, you're clear, pull off. He sees the green light. He pulls off. Unfortunately, there was someone on a forklift in the back of his truck that he didn't know was back there.
Geez.
So when he pulls off, the poor guy falls off the back of the truck. The forklift falls on him and kills him. And it was one of his friends.
Wow.
So not only did we have a fatality, but you have this guy who purely by accident caused this man's death. And he was a wreck after it. And the Teamsters helped this man immensely, trying to get therapy and counseling and things like that. But that accident ruined 2 lives that night.
Wow.
At least 2 lives.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's probably the one that really sticks with me. It was purely accidental. There's nothing that he could have done differently.
What did the family of the deceased say? Do you know? Like, were they? Like,
I don't think they held him responsible.
Yeah.
It was just really a situation where a lot of unfortunate events came together and caused that accident.
Yeah.
And he'll never.
How long ago was that?
That was probably about 8-10 years ago.
Yeah, that sounds like a movie or something.
Yeah, it was awful. It was awful.
So Brian, what advice would you give to younger attorneys who are considering entering this field of workers' compensation?
So, if you want to do it, I'd say you gotta roll up your sleeves and get ready to work hard.
Yep.
And it's not a 9-to-5 job. It's like I said earlier. It's you're really on whether you're in the office or out of the office. But it's one of the most rewarding areas of law you can do.
Yeah.
Because when people are filing workers' comp claims, they're at their worst. They have no money coming in. They can't support themselves. They can't support their families. They can't pay their bills. And there's nothing better than when you get the benefits for somebody and they call you up and say, "Thank you so much. I can now pay my rent.
Yeah.
I can now keep my kid in school. I can now buy food." It's a very rewarding area of law. It really is.
I love that. So, tell me. Give us some advice for being like a supervisor, a boss, like good advice from your end.
Take care of your employees.
Okay.
And do the right thing.
Yeah, do the right thing.
It's not all about money.
So what does leadership look like at Keches?
So right now we have a managing partner, Sean Flaherty.
Yep.
And I manage the workers' comp department. Jeff Catalano manages the tort department.
Okay.
And we all work in collaboration with one another. And Sean is out there every day. I mean, you've seen him on billboards, on the radio, whatever it may be. I don't know when the guy sleeps, to be honest. And, he's working 24 hours a day to promote the firm.
Yep.
But he's also representing people as well. Sean represents a lot of iron workers.
Okay.
And those guys are very hard workers that,
Wow.
They usually, when they get hurt, they're very bad injuries.
Wow.
And so he's dealing with that stuff, but also, running the firm.
Right. That's amazing. So
that's really and then we have a CFO, marketing, quote unquote marketing guy who does about 15 other different things during the day. And we have a CEO, Tim Blacker, who's amazing. And John Uniac is another one of our team that's amazing. So we have a great group right now.
So what about where do you see the firm in like 5-10 years?
Growing.
Just growing, yeah.
We're growing every day. We're in different states now. We're in Massachusetts.
Okay.
We're in Rhode Island. We're in Connecticut. We are in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
We're in North Carolina. And I think in the next couple of years, our presence in those states are going to grow. Tomorrow, Sean and I are going down to Washington to meet with President Sean O'Brien from the Teamsters. He's the general president of the Teamsters, in charge of 1.2, 1.3 million members.
That's amazing.
And he's thankfully agreed to meet with us to talk about Camp Lejeune. We have a lot of Camp Lejeune cases.
Really?
And Sean and I were actually on Sean O'Brien's podcast 2 weeks ago, and we were telling him about it.
Camp Lejeune, is that mass tort?
It is. It's for the Marines that got sick while they were at Camp Lejeune.
Wow.
And when we were talking to Sean about it, he says, I need to do something about this. A lot of my members are Marines that are affected.
Okay.
And Sean's a very powerful guy, and he has a lot of friends in Washington. So we're actually flying down there tomorrow to meet with him, and hopefully able to get some of these Camp Lejeune cases going.
Is it possible it could be a class action for you guys?
It sort of is a class action right now. We have a lot of claims, but there's other firms that have a lot more claims than we do.
Okay.
But it's another thing Sean's involved in. He's on that committee as well that's dealing with all the Camp Lejeune cases. And out of the 400,000 claims, they've paid 2,000.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to tell you about the federal government. Federal government creates the Camp Lejeune Act. They all strut out there. They take their pictures. We're going to help these people. We're going to help these people. They appoint a team of lawyers to fight the claims right after they create the act.
Wow.
Now, the geniuses over there are saying no one qualifies.
Okay.
So we're working closely with the firm Keller Postman down in D.C. They have a lot more claims than we do. A guy down there, Warren Postman, is handling it, and he's going to join us in the meeting with Sean because he's really spearheading the Camp Lejeune stuff. But, I mean, these are people that deserve to be paid.
Sure.
And they're dying every day without seeing, anything for what we did to them. And when I say we, I mean the United States and the government. I mean, the government is the one that got the people sick.
Yeah.
And the people are dying, and they don't want to pay them for it.
Right.
So it's really disappointing. So hopefully we go down there tomorrow and we make a lot of headway. And, I know Sean O'Brien very well. I'm sure he's going to knock some heads and, do everything he can to try to get the people in D.C. to help us out as much as they can.
Hell yeah. Well, congrats on all your success.
No, thank you.
Is there anything we left out that you might want to add today, like some wisdom or some?
So
advice
the thing I think we left out, not that we left it out, but that we didn't touch on it, is, Sean and I run the firm. We have about 200 people that make the firm run. Yeah. Right. So we have 200 amazing employees.
Yep.
That if it wasn't for them, we couldn't do what we do. So, I acknowledged Emily and Kara and some of the others, but we have about 195 others that we couldn't do what we do without them. So I think that's one of the most important things, is to get a good team behind you.
Yeah, totally.
And take care of that team.
Totally.
We definitely don't take every dollar for ourselves. We try to compensate everyone fairly, whether they're attorneys or staff members. And I think the people appreciate that, and we have a very loyal staff. Yeah. We don't have a lot of turnover because of it. And so I think that's one of the only thing we left out is I want to acknowledge and thank my staff for everything that they do to help us help the people that we help on a daily basis, because we definitely could not do it without them.
I love it.
And of course our families, right?
I love it. Yeah.
I mean, if it wasn't for my wife and Sean's wife, I don't know where either one of us would be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And our kids, we rely on them a lot. Yep. And they handle a lot when, we're at work and doing all the things they do. We're comfortable knowing that they're taking care of everything at home. So without Sean and I having great wives, and Jeff Catalano having a great wife, and all the other people having great spouses, we couldn't do what we do. So just to acknowledge our staff and our spouses and families.
I love that. Ending on a positive note.
For sure. We have to, right? No, thank you.
Success. It's such a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, and, George and Brian Clardy built an engine that we're just trying to help it move,
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
So everybody else, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
For sure. And wherever you are in the world today, enjoy yourselves. Cheers.